Hey guys, and welcome to part 4 to what a female Naruto thought the Fox's chakra was his. If you want to know what happened last part, then I will be linking in the description down below, which will take you to a playlist, or you can watch this what if all the way through until the end, where then the end screen character will appear, and then the one on the top left hand corner will take you to the exact same playlist that the link in the description down below does. With that out of the way, let's get into this. Just to say, I've tried this 10 different times. Most of them was just somewhat having a slight issue with intro, and then the time I did do it, I had my mic muted, so that's 16 minutes down the drain. Oh well, as I said, let's get into this. So the next day, Naruto would or at least after having breakfast, Naruto would go with Tazna to the bridge, and Kakashi would take Sasuke and Sakura to the tree line, where he would teach them how to do the tree walking exercise, like in canon, and Shikamaru and Shikamaru and Ino, who had somewhat woken up a few minutes to half an hour later. I'd had breakfast, though Ino wasn't feeling all too great, mainly due to kind of suffering from chakra exhaustion and that. And yeah, though that third teammate, no, not Shikamaru, Choji was still somewhat out, though an hour or two later I did somewhat wake up. Yeah, I know, though, besides on that, and that sense of waking up as well, that, oh yeah, besides on that, though Kakashi, though someone did, of course, after someone explaining to them and also telling them that their goal was to reach the top of the tree. And yeah, goes somewhat to Sasuke, go first, and he'd, mark the tree slightly, somewhat with, somewhat of a spark, as, and yeah, though when Sakura, had trying to reach all the way to the top, not necessarily stopping, as Kakashi told them where they would have to go. Yeah, so she'd reach all out to the top and would sit out of the branch, and so she'd take a second or so to catch both ones, but she'd kind of call them, someone to call, and yeah, Sasuke would kind of grit his teeth and his fist. Sakura would notice that and would kind of, be slightly confused that, Sasuke wasn't proud of her. Yeah, other than that, though, or at least Kakashi would tell her to come back down to it, she would, and Kakashi would see how she'd somewhat try and simply cover, try and get her breath back. That, and she seemed to be slightly sweating, the indication of her reserves being, just somewhat that small. And yeah, Kakashi, though, would simply tell her, somewhat to go back to the house, and that the next day she'll be going out to protect, Tazna. Yeah, she'd just somewhat nod and she'd go on her way, and a few 2 to 3 hours later, Sasuke was, Kakashi could see he was getting annoyed, so he'd finally say something as he'd go, Sasuke, so remember this, Sakura has got a small reserves, and the smaller reserves, the easier it is to do to control your chakra. And before you even say anything, Naruto's chakra, his chakra is larger than yours, and that Naruto's just been training in chakra control for longer. And yeah, Sasuke would just grunt, but yeah, though Kakashi could see that Sasuke seemed to slightly relax a bit and have some of that anger and that let out, but not that much. And yeah, though about 3 to 4 days later, Sasuke would finally be able to do it, and yeah, though due to not just how close, or at least some of the their potential interactions with the Demon of the Mist, so it was, I don't necessarily remember his actual name. Not Gato, not Tsunami, not Tazuna, Zabuza. So it was that Kakashi didn't want to necessarily try and teach them the water walking, as it could take them the same amount of time, if not potentially longer. And so, yeah. Anyway, though finally when the day would come, so 1410, it was 10 days, not 10, 7, yeah, 1410, it was 7 days after they arrived. So yeah, pretty much the same 7 days, which kind of canon Team 7, somewhat as it was necessarily their first mission, but of course their first mission was a different mission. Yeah. Anyway, though, yeah, those like that night, though, or at least they would somewhat talk for a bit, and also somewhat talk, the kind of awkward, somewhat reason, why, Naruto was kind of staying back, and mainly because it made more sense for her to be, with being able to make so many shadow clones, to be with them, at the front, to, make a load of shadow clones to overwhelm the enemy, but instead staying back. Since Kakashi somewhat, and of course she'd somewhat, kind of voice that, saying that even if Gato, percent, some people thought it'd be maybe 2 or maybe 3, and though you'd somewhat point out that once it may be a smaller number, potentially that Sasuke or Sakura or one of the others, and you, and so I know you yourself, haven't killed, no one's killed yet, but for you, you'd sort of have your shadow as that, so you'd be able to kill the 2, 3, 4, or 5 near simultaneously. Plus, if one killed, that was one shadow clone that killed, or you that killed your other shadow clones, wouldn't necessarily be in that same, maybe somewhat like frozen potential, somewhat state at your first kill. And as such, you would be able to carry on and kill the others. Where Sasuke, he may, he'd something that throw potential freeze up for him, would mean his death. Plus, could Sakura even actually kill them? Would she even have the sort of will, or would they end up just taking her as hostage as well and doing, what they would do with someone, which someone should kind of nod. And yeah. Well, yeah, somewhat though, and somewhat Team 10, I don't necessarily know that somewhat. Of course, I know, or at least Sukamaru being an Naruto can probably manipulate somewhat, or at least was, who generally sort of high intelligence and that, and whilst he could potentially think up a plan. No, I'm not, sure on just what they can do. Sure, I could ask, Asuma, that sensei, what they could do, but again, somewhat unlike Team 7, Team 10 generally, or at least somewhat the Insecretary trio, generally kind of rely more so on one another to defeat their enemies, and unlike us, they more or less pretty much require one another to really be effective, to be truly effective. And yeah, so I should kind of nod, and yeah, plus, that could be 50 or more, so, and something like that, they'd be so far and somewhat outnumbered, whereas it's unlikely, it's still a possibility, and with your motorcycle and jutsu, well, with the motorcycle and jutsu, you're pretty much, you are a one-woman army, and yeah. So I could, sort of imagine when you're sort of old, older, kind of trying to make it slightly. The fact you probably will be killing tomorrow. So trying to somewhat lighten that slight mood. So that did go. I could somewhat, see it now. Somewhat, somewhat now, Naruto, somewhat Uzumaki, somewhat the kind of fifth Hokage in the one-woman army. Yeah. Yeah, so, and yeah. Yeah, she's somewhat less slightly and kind of slightly, chuckle seeing these somewhat, humour in it. And yeah, they talk a bit more before, both going to sleep, and indeed, this one next morning, so the rest of Team 7 and Team 10 would leave, though Asuma wouldn't be exactly too kind of thrilled and, just having Naruto alone to protect them, but Kakashi had reassured him that it was more than enough, seriously, to protect them, and Asuma had stated that if it was more than enough, then surely shouldn't, he'd be coming with them, to which then maybe not, we'll just have to see, and yeah. And yeah, though they'd leave, and as time would go, though as an hour or so would go, or at least, as an hour to an hour and a half would go by, our ears would pick up the faint sound of somewhat metal going through seemingly wood, and the very quiet sound of footsteps. And yeah. Of course, she could easily, send chakra, being more chakra into her ears, that would cause her ears, or at least foxes, to appear, and with, of course, sure, if she was outside, then she probably could, get into, somewhat slightly hide, where Inari or Tsunami could see her, but she could, see everyone else, and could then, increase her hearing and make those kind of quiet, somewhat, sounds a lot louder, make them a lot clearer as well. And yeah, yes, they sounded very faint, but also kind of somewhat not. Yeah. Right, and yeah. Okay. Though after a few more minutes, somewhat, of course, it would be knocked down, a knock on the door, and somewhat, though as Tsunami would call out that she was coming, Naruto would look at her and would shake her head, and would go up and would tell Tsunami to take Inari and hide. And yeah, she'd go up, and she'd go, I'll open it, plus if you hear anything outside, just ignore it. There were 2 thugs outside. She'd just nod, and she'd go and take Tsunami, not Tsunami, that is herself, Inari, and hide. I'm not necessarily, just saying this, I'm not necessarily too sure if they, if that front door, if they have to pass, that front door to go upstairs, or if that front door is kind of a front door, and they have then maybe another door where somewhat they can obviously put their shoes in that, then as their actual kind of door to enter into maybe the living room, or maybe go upstairs. I don't necessarily know. Yeah, though. Yeah, so from that, though, Naruto would make a shadow clone. That shadow clone would then transform into Tsunami, and after about 5 or so seconds, somewhat it would finally go and open the front door. Naruto herself would sneak out the back and would somewhat walk around and would somewhat hide in the screenland where she could, somewhat see them, and she'd be watching, and yeah. Of course, they would somewhat, the two folks, would somewhat kind of, Naturo's some, Shadow Clone would, somewhat kind of go back as they'd, trying to go, no, somewhat get away in that from me, though they would grab her. Yeah, Tsunami would be somewhat, or at least would be somewhat surprised to hear a voice coming from downstairs, though she'd somewhat remind herself that, Naruto is a shinobi, and as such they probably have abilities to, somewhat look exactly like her, or do, something like that. And though she'd somewhat hear, finally they would somewhat, or at least she'd hear the door seemingly shut, and the voices getting quieter and quieter before they would seemingly vanish. So those should stay in hiding until she'd hear Naruto's voice telling her to come out, and telling her and a child, I forgot his name, that it was safe to come out. And though they would sort of walk away, and though after a while, though, or at least though they would sort of talk with, one another about, maybe having a bit of fun beforehand and that, and though would somewhat, or at least though the clan would somewhat try and, kind of call out for help, though they would somewhat state that was normally, somewhat here to which and kind of somewhat, seemingly let slip, of course on purpose, that was, when somewhat shinobi, something that came back, or at least that was, kind of staying back, as that would then, of course, somewhat hearing, that would go somewhat down, and, somewhat, somewhat sleepiness, and I know someone you're around, you couldn't have gone far. They would somewhat curse, and they would go into the forest. But somewhat in the kind of direction, towards the bridge, but also, more into the forest. They finally of course, they would somewhat stop, and once more because they would decide that they were going to have some fun with her first. In other words, they're going to rape her and have sex before delivering her to, Gato. And so now they would pin it, they would pin who they thought was actually Tsunami, who was actually just Naruto's Sharingan, to somewhat the tree, and though the two would then start to somewhat bicker for a somewhat pet, though finally they would somewhat kind of end up on some agreement, as they would then go from taking that, or at least pushing similarly Tsunami, Naruto's Sharingan, from the tree somewhat to the ground. One would somewhat, of course, similarly take off, trousers and some panties, and they would, pull off their own trousers and boxes. And of course, though they both, focus on penis, dicks being somewhat hardened, one would forcefully seemingly spread their somewhat legs open, going in between them, and the other would force similarly Tsunami, Naruto's Sharingan's mouth somewhat open, and as they'd get closer and closer to entering, was going to try and say something, but having its mouth, kept wide open, couldn't, so it would just think, as they'd be more than close enough that it felt like it would simply think, and what everyone else would just hear would be boom. The explosion would be 1.5 to 2 times the normal explosion, explosive force of a normal explosive tag, as Naruto did know some Funjutsu. And had somewhat learned enough of somewhat from examining somewhat an explosive tag that she figured she could maybe slightly alter it enough to increase its explosive force, which she did successfully do by increasing the amount of chakra. It's somewhat just increasing the amount of chakra it could somewhat take. Though she somewhat knew that to properly, increase the actual explosive force, she would have to probably, create her own one, which she doesn't exactly know necessarily how to do, as Susan hasn't really taught her afterward. She didn't necessarily, want, now to kind of, create an explosive tanks, as they, are pretty dangerous. And yeah, even though most of the time they didn't really do much damage, well, yeah, it only took, being too close to one to hurt yourself badly, and by how close the folks were, kill yourselves. And yeah, of course, that cyclone would, of course, just immediately dispel. So when these, two tanks would go boom, and these bugs pretty much just parts of their body were just vaporized, with whatever was left was just blown far away from some. Well, not all that far away, but blown some distance away, and yeah. And yeah, Naruto would return back from seeing some of them dead to the sort of home, and she'd call out for Tsunami and Inari that it was safe to come out and that they were dead. They'd come out, and yeah, and after a bit, Inari would end up kind of, leaving to try and, get the village, together, and to, truly push back, against, Gato, one giant, kind of, village, rally. And yeah, just like in Conan, he'd manage to gather everyone, and of course, if I'm going out was, going to stay home, those going to be on the end of the village, it'd be stupid, or in the house. So she'd, of course, someone come along, and yeah, when they'd arrive, of course, she'd see, Team 10, somewhat Sasuke and Sakura, just, somewhat panting, somewhat kind of, well, not really Sakura, as she and somewhat kind of Inoue somewhat stayed somewhat back, letting more so just the boys kind of, fight against seemingly someone. That, and yeah, though it seemed like also Gato was also somewhat dead, though there was definitely a small army there of 253, maybe 500 people. Definitely, a decent amount of people, around the 100 to 200 mark, definitely. And yeah, though of course, Inari, would, fire off a arrow from the, not bow and arrow, not bow, I can't think of what it's called. I mean, fire off, sort of from there, it would somewhat land, and they would, they would somewhat kind of back range, and Naruto would, keep on walking forward, up till, he'd be, standing, side by side with Kakashi and Asuma. They would just somewhat look at Kakashi and would somewhat ask what they were kind of going to do, if they were going to kill him or not. Kakashi would somewhat shake his head, as he'd state that if he could, if they could get away without, kind of killing them and also fighting them, it's not enough to kind of leave, then, he would. Just now to kind of point out that if they would, once they'd gone, they'd probably, come back to try and harass the villagers, and, well, yeah. Or they could, simply, try and, break the bridge, blow up the bridge and that, and, yeah. And, yeah. And, she would some point out that it was more beneficial to the village if they killed them than it was letting them live. After all, they pretty much signed, their death warrant when they followed, when they, became a part of Gato's somewhat kind of army, personal army. Because she would, as much as he kind of disliked somewhat it, it would, yeah. Inside though, it had, though, it'd point out that if, once the fight, started, and once they started to realise, their numbers were going down, they would just, try and escape from the other end, which Nato would just smile and she'd go, I somewhat know how to stop that. She'd go, really? I should go, yeah. Something like this, I should perceive just run away in the opposite direction, which would just kind of confuse, Asuma would just blink and confusing, and Kakashi would just be completely dumbfounded. And yeah, that was her plan, to just run away after saying all of that. And yeah, and yeah, he was trying to figure out, it was Naruto, she was kind of somewhat unpredictable, very much so, so she must have a plan, but what would that plan be? And, these sort, and Team 10, sort of the rest of Team 10 and Team 7 were just somewhat, and the villagers were just somewhat, or at least somewhat watch, they should seemingly run away, though the villagers would not seemingly somewhat stop and kind of hurt, or at least would somewhat kind of start arcing away, though by then all the others were, she was far enough kind of sort of away that nobody could really see her besides from the villagers, as they were, blocking kind of that part of the bridge, as she'd somewhat kind of arc herself down and into the sea, where she perceived to just run along, on top of the sea, across, by the bridge. And before long, she'd, see, and after 2-3 seconds, she'd see something, bridge that seemed to be not necessarily fighting, though she could definitely hear the sounds of them kind of starting to rile up and starting to come across, though she'd done somewhat what she had to, and she'd start running up the side, as she'd then somewhat mentally, or just think, boom. She'd just somewhat quietly say boom, as the somewhat boat, or boats in which the thugs had arrived on, would just explode. The thugs would somewhat hear the explosion, and, some would go over and they'd go, they've blown up in somewhat, our boats. It, doesn't matter, we can easily, we could somewhat deal, somewhat with them. We won't need somewhat them, because once we've killed, somewhat all of them, it would just be, a straight line back. Yeah, they would somewhat kind of cheer, and it would finally click for Kakashi. Asuma would be somewhat confused. When enough did they have time, or did Kakashi, somewhat kind of what was kind of, something going on, Yes. And yeah, as, somewhat Asuma wasn't all, well, true somewhat from Asuma's knowledge, somewhat, Naruto seemingly knew tree walking, and now Sasuke and Sakura did. So, he didn't somewhat, really know what they were capable of, so, yeah, Naruto just sort of ran away. There was no way, that, plus they're, more sort of on the water, so to really get to them, you'd have to, go onto the boat, and from, and have explosive tags, and, yeah, plus, almost the sound of the explosion, which was, again, louder than seemingly normal, than, a few, maybe, 4 or 5, explosive tags would make. It sounded seemingly, somewhat a lot louder. Yeah. And then, Naruto would appear on the other side. go, well, I don't think you should sort of be escaping us. So, these sort of kind of turn, sort of be something, surprised that you don't go. So it doesn't matter, sort of that will easily, when we say, we'll sort of, deal with so much use of me. We'll just say, someone just a few, you just, I can just take you on by myself. You're only one person here. Just go, And go, huh? It's not really. So I don't really just see myself. Go, huh. There we go. Though, so I just, and yeah, or at least it, some of the pastor just thinks you're just something saying, pretty sure, at least, say if you make like, 1,000, so, others, huh. It just so much, kind of snort. Then you're clearly, seeing things. Nah, not really. As you just quick, someone just do these sort of hand signs, those who wouldn't say it. As 1,000 falcons would appear, and sort of wide-eyed, and they'd somewhat kind of back away, of course, towards someone, Kakashi that, and yeah. Kakashi would sort of look up to Aswan and go, sort of, you ready? He'd sort of nod, he'd go, though, shouldn't sort of be, kind of as he'd sort of, if we're going to kill them, at the very least, we should, somewhat, should, get those to have their fast kills as well. It's as bad time as any. And yeah, Kakashi would somewhat, even sort of nod at that as, they would somewhat call them, they like somewhat forward, and yeah, they would somewhat kind of freeze after somewhat hearing, Sasuke would kind of slightly, seem smart. Well, it's likely though, and yeah, Kakashi just, yeah, though from there they, they would all have their first kills, though some, and yeah, and from there, Asuma and Kakashi would just attack, telling them that if they are going to continue to somewhat aid and kill, to have each other's back, and to not act like an idiot, and take on more than one. And yeah. And after maybe a minute or two, all the folks would be dead, though. So, though, like Naruto and someone, Naruto, or at least, well, yeah, though Kakashi would somewhat have an inkling that this wasn't all of, somewhat Gato's forces. After all, and yeah, after all, somewhat he was, Gato's was expecting, Zabuza to take them out, and then take out Zabuza. And yeah, to which the army of about 200 people did do after Zabuza killed Gato. And yeah, though, yeah, so well, yeah. And so somewhat when they, or at least they would somewhat return, though Kakashi would do a somewhat water somewhat jutsu to clear the bridge of the bodies and blood and that, and yeah, though Naruto would somewhat stand kind of slightly in the way, not directly in the way, but enough that should even somewhat get kind of some wet to clear off the blood and that it it lands on her, on him at the moment, and the clothes. Yeah, though somewhat once they'd get back into that night, and yeah, nearing about 11 o'clock to either 11 or around about 11 or midnight, Kakashi would simply kind of, or at least slightly quietly, go, Naruto, you're awake. Yeah, Kakashi Sensei, sort of I'm awake. And yeah, so somewhat we're going now then. And somewhat nod. If you're somewhat ready, I somewhat will be. And now to somewhat get up and yeah. With somewhat when quickly someone get dressed. And yeah, Kakashi somewhat himself would get up, though he was somewhat already kind of dressed and ready. And yeah, that was why somewhat he'd thought about, going somewhat with Asuma to kill the somewhat others and, the potential others and that as well. Yeah, somewhat, they could provide, the somewhat folks could, try and, the rest of the folks, how many there are left, could, try and, attack the village and that. To get, some amount of payment, money from the village that was potentially left. And yeah, so yeah, though somewhat at that, there could be, some maybe, 100, there could be, as little as maybe 50 or 100, or as max as, a few, maybe 1,000 or 2. And somewhat as such, maybe, maybe 10 or that could come here to 100, 2, 3, 4, and so Asuma would kind of be needed somewhat more so here. And so, yes, Naruto could, make, multi-chakra jutsu and that, but they'd, be somewhat asleep, and, Asuma would be, the first to somewhat awake if, somebody broke in, and would be able to wake up the rest and thus fight. Yeah. Plus, he was somewhat Naruto, knew the scent of the, somewhat, the other, bugs and that, and so as such, would be able to kind of track the rest down, and like kind of Pakun, who would kind of, need something that scent, considering their bodies, now somewhat, in the sea, and that scent definitely somewhat, washed away, and the smell of probably just, rotting would just be left, so Pakun wouldn't be able to find them. Wouldn't be able to find the rest, and it would just be a blind, pretty much somewhat hunt. And so, yeah. Another reason why, and especially the main reason. And so from there, once you'd and yeah, they would sort of head out quietly, and about 2 to 3 hours later, they would return and would go to bed with all the rest of the folks. With the rest of the folks now being truly killed. And yeah, from there, about 2.5 weeks would go by as the bridge would be fully complete, and they would leave with the bridge, ironically, just kind of just like in canon, being called the Great Naruto Bridge. And yeah, so from those like that, of course, once they'd get back, to Konoha, they would somewhat Kakashi report, first, somewhat from, or at least from when they somewhat got the message to, going to the land of waves and the state of it when they, arrived, what team 10 was in, and then from there, Asuma would take over, would state, what had happened from when they left, all the way up until they met Team 7, and then from there, they would both kind of speak. From, what had kind of happened, from their, point of views through that, and yeah, he was not, and we just tell them that, or at least you tell Team tend that their sort of, that area mission pay would, sort of, or at least would be, prepared and ready tomorrow, and they were sort of dismissed and would tell Team 7 that their sort of A rank, sort of that A rank backup pay, the sort of A rank backup, so that A rank mission pay for the backup they supply to Team 10 would be sort of ready tomorrow, as well as their and that they can either sort of get their C rank pay now or wait until tomorrow to same them coming back again. And they sort of nod and sort of dismiss them, though Kakashi would sort of stay. They would sort of tell them, of course, that they'd have a week off, or at least Hiruzen would sort of tell both Team 7 and 10 that they would have a week off of doing missions. And anyway, besides on that, once they left, Kakashi, or at least Hiruzen would Hiruzen would sort of ask Kakashi, once they sort of left and the door shut, if Naruto by any chance used the Fox's chakra, and Kakashi would tell him that there was only one instance. That instance being when, or at least somewhat, Inari would still say, what he did in canon to kind of, Team 7 and of course 10 and somewhat Naruto, of course, somewhat having, or at least, somewhat explode and, somewhat emotion, but and sort of with Fox's chakra and all that, would somewhat kind of go a bit, well, not necessarily haywire, but she would be a lot more angry than in canon, and somewhat as such, by the time she, or at least when Kakashi would, kind of somewhat step in, Naruto would turn away, and though somewhat as she'd walk past Kakashi would be the only one that would see it, her eyes would go red. Just from her pure anger, she wasn't sending her chakra into her eyes, and Kakashi knew she was starting to draw on the Fox's chakra, or at least he believed she was. Ironically, Naruto already was born on the Fox's chakra. Heck, every time she used chakra, she was using the Fox's. The current chakra that was circulating through her body and has done since she got her network, or at least gained connection similarly to her chakra, was the Fox's chakra. So, it was why she was a girl and why she had red hair and why her skin was somewhat, or at least her skin color would be the same color as Kushina, is light, sort of creamy, I think it's creamy white. I think that's Kushina's skin color, either creamy white to creamy color skin. And though her eye color would still be the exact same as, that it was, in canon, a bright blue. And, anyway, though Hiruzen would sort of nod at hearing that. And Kakashi, of course, wouldn't say anything about Naruto being female and kind of bloodline abilities, quote unquote potential bloodline abilities. As who knows what it could lead to, and of course that would mean Hiruzen would someone write it down on her record, which could mean other people learning of it, and it just wouldn't be it wouldn't be all that great. And Hiruzen would sort of think, and sort of hearing all that, it would sort of reinforce him that Naruto could sort of be ready, though he'd ask though, and he'd go, though, one more thing, Kakashi. There might be one more thing, Kakashi. Kakashi and something was that, Kage-sama. How was Naruto's, how did he take, his kind of fast kill or kills? It'd go, well, a lot more like a tune-in, somewhat with Kage-sama. More so, though, a bit, or at least, though, a bit of grief, but more so just kind of the somewhat necessarily more so confusion why I didn't necessarily feel all that much. Disgust, more so a bit disgusted on killing, and was confused why I didn't really feel anything when killing them, though I somewhat explained that due to, the fact that, he probably, for one, didn't know who they were, second, they would kill him and rape the girls and that. And, well, yeah. That, and so after, I sort of said that, and a bit more kind of talk back and forward. So I said that, that if he was ordered to, or if he was ordered to kill, he would, and or if he was, or if that was somewhat potentially the only sort of option to, he would kill as well, but he'd, prioritize not necessarily killing, but he would kill if he was something he had to, or if it was the best option. Maybe not the only, but if it was the best to potentially stop, potentially, having to go back and, waste potentially, more time, hunting them down, whilst, we could do it, once, we could do it, then, kill them and save a potential, have to come back to, kill, these stragglers and that. It was somewhat nod, and, you'd go, if it's there anything else, you'd go, and he'd somewhat think as he'd go, well, you'd somewhat nod, that is, though Naruto himself kind of is kind of required for this. Kakashi somewhat eyebrows, he was somewhat call out for one of his armbu to, though Kakashi would somewhat step in and he'd state, he'd somewhat tell someone like that, he could go get Naruto, and somewhat instead. He was somewhat start him, and he'd go, I promise I will be on time, I'll be back. Kakashi was somewhat, he was somewhat stand, and he'd go, fine, you better be, Kakashi. Kakashi would somewhat go, hi, well, as he'd perceived to disappear in the sunshine, and a second or so later, Kakashi would appear outside of Naruto's apartment and would knock on the door. A few seconds later, Naruto himself would somewhat open the door and go, would somewhat just simply, go, sort of, pay this sort of sensei, with door ready and something, and, yeah, with the door, though, before she could sort of step back to kind of let him in, as he was walking up, sort of the door, she could sort of hear, while she could sort of smell sort of Kakashi's kind of sort of scent. Yeah. That, and the somewhat way he seemed to kind of somewhat walk in that. Yeah. Anyway, though, Kakashi would somewhat tell, go, well, something that Kage-sama kind of wants to speak to you and somewhat me. Yeah, though why I'm requested to be there, I do not know, but he wishes to speak to us. That would kind of blink, and though she'd just somewhat nod. Yeah, from there she'd slide on her shoes before before someone stepping out, shutting and locking her door, her Kakashi sort of put a hand on his shoulder as they would then proceed to disappear in a sentence. From there, they would sort of reappear. And they would sort of walk into the office, to which Susan would sort of nod. He'd tell his Ambu to leave and to not allow anyone else to enter. They would simply say hi as they would leave. Once they were sort of out and the door shut, he would get up and he'd step around, his desk and would somewhat go, and he'd kneel down to the same level as Naruto as he perceived to apologize and to somewhat explain kind of why, and that the reason kind of why he didn't tell her was that he kind of feared that she may kind of just hate Konoha, the sort of villagers, if she truly knew, he knew, and some other stuff and that, and he'd say that, I know that me just apologizing isn't enough, and I really know that, and I've been thinking of what to either to sort of give you as somewhat true show that I'm truly sorry, and I finally know what I sort of give you, though I cannot necessarily give it myself or the training for you to sort of have it, as I cannot perform it, but lucky for you, your sensei does know how to do it, and so does my own student. Kakashi would be confused. What could he and Dryer do? He'd be somewhat confused, And And so he'd go and, that is, or the jutsu is, and the A rank jutsu, and here in A rank, the only A rank that he and Dry could potentially only do, that no one else potentially couldn't do, was, and Kakashi would go be, the exam couldn't be truly serious, kind of right, but then again it is Naruto, and it is kind of somewhat only right without necessarily telling her who, or at least father is. He would sort of think it is called the Rasengan, the fourth Hokage's own sort of jutsu that he created. That would sort of go sort of surprised, and before she could say anything could continue on, and if the fourth was alive, I could assure you, Naruto, that he'd most definitely have he would have most definitely have taught you this jutsu himself. And, yeah, why would he teach me that, though? Something of his, own sort of creation. Why did he teach me that? It's not like we're related or that. Here's one guy. Well, of course, if he'd survived sealing the fox within you, then he would have personally found that he, to own you something for keeping the fox at bay. So he probably would have raised you as his own child, and so as such, you would have naturally have learnt from him the Rasengan, being adopted by him. So you would just nod at that, and that did somewhat make sense, and though he'd sort of look at Kakashi and he'd go, though, Kakashi, I want you to teach her this week. Your team, and Team 10 may only, somewhat not allowed to be, or at least may only have a break from missions, but that doesn't mean training. I somewhat no. And Kakashi was somewhat planning on teaching or at least asking Sakura how to do, tree water walking, but he wasn't necessarily sure, all that sure what to kind of teach Naruto. Now he knew, and after all, the first 2 steps of the Rasengan was, in a way, could be passed off as just a chakra control exercise, so that was all good. And yeah. And so, though someone should ask if there was anything else to it, he's a sort shaking, he'd shake his head as he'd go, that is sort of all, and I hope in time Naruto that you can forgive me for not telling you. She'd just sign and she'd go, maybe in the future, old man. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah, he was going to have a slight smile from hearing Naruto finally call him old man, as every time before that, before they went on their C rank, then A rank backup mission, any time they interacted at all was Naruto calling him kind of with some venom in his voice, sort of Kai-sama, and that hurt him a lot. He kind of, thought, somewhat, kind of didn't really realize himself just how close he got and just how much he liked hearing Naruto call him old man. It was kind of odd to him, but it hurt more than any kunai could ever do, any wound could ever do. And yeah, heck, it was on there with losing his wife, if not potentially even slightly more painful, as Naruto was still alive. And yeah, and so from there, Kakashi, or at least they would sort of leave. Hiruzen would call back in his Zambu, and once they would sort of leave, after that Kakashi would put his hand on Naruto and they would send him to the top of the Hokage monument, as Kakashi would tell Naruto that he would teach her it tomorrow, and to arrive at Sharingan 7 at 8 o'clock, and that Sasuke and Sakura would be there as well. Those should kind of ask why, as I plan on teaching them the water walking as well. And I was already planning on teaching them that. It's just I wasn't necessarily too sure what to kind of teach you without somewhat potentially showing any real sign of favoritism. And yeah, so it's nod, though, to point out that in a way you've kind of shown some level of favoritism, and you go, I know, but to try and show that even though I may favour you somewhat more, that somewhat I'm still very much not going to try and give you a leg up against them. I'm not trying. I'm going to hinder that performance or that, to which it know that sort of that, and well, yeah. And and so from there, they would or at least know, though Naruto would, or at least, though Naruto would kind of ask, or at least what the jutsu kind of at least looked like, and Kakashi would somewhat smile, he'd go, well. And so he'd think about it and he'd go, well, fine, but this will be the only time you see it until you can do it yourself with your own hands or hand. So he'd nod. And Kakashi would hold out his right hand with holding it, his wrist, with his left, as he would concentrate on the flow, and after a second or so, he would quietly say Rasengan, as it would form, and yeah, and do some, and yeah, and that's when Kakashi, from what he could remember from Minto was saying to himself, it was strong, sort it was a powerful jutsu, and just, and yeah, that's when the Rasengan was powerful enough that in the sort with a person who truly mastered it, it wasn't just an A rank jutsu, it was S rank. After all, it was strong enough to go up against a tailed beast bomb. For those that know and for those that don't, well, it's with sort of Minto's strength, probably by where he faced up against the Nine Tails in a second time, it would probably be equal to a tailed beast, a tailed beast, a tailed beast ball, a full-powered tailed beast ball from the nine-tailed fox. And yeah. Anyway, though, but yeah. Though Kakashi would sort of reveal, though the sign somewhat reveal that it wasn't that, though he would sort of, they would talk again sort of a bit more, and doing that talk, he would sort of, tell her that it wasn't necessarily, at least the fourth, they necessarily complete it. She'd be kind of confused and ask what he meant by it. And he'd go, well, I mean, it's like the Rasengan as it is, and as you saw, is a completed jutsu, but it wasn't what the fourth truly saw. What the fourth saw was a even more powerful form of it. Something. Once I see that you can not only perform the Rasengan with a single hand, but you've also got enough control over it that you can make it somewhat where you can make it a non deadly jutsu, where you can modulate the power within the Rasengan itself. Then I will tell you, and I can somewhat teach you, as nobody's been able to do it. That's why I say no one, not even the fourth, himself, but after all, it's non-complete, has been able to do it. And yeah, so you may potentially be the only one. That I will say, my attempt in doing it gave birth to my own jutsu, the Chidori, and the Rasengan is stronger than the Chidori. And yeah, Naruto would be surprised as she had seen, Zabzar and his somewhat apprentice's, body move somewhat a hole through it. So yeah. And yeah. Anyway, though with that, I'm going to end this part here, guys. So if you have enjoyed this part, do tell me in the comments down below. And of course, if you want part 4, do say. And yeah, guys, hope you guys and girls have a good day or night, depending on whatever you are and whenever you watch this. And goodbye.